You're all set.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, I call the Monday, June 10th, 2024 meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Lizinski,
Here.
you're not
Here.
Fanukin here. Kraft here. Lamb here.
Okay, could you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and we like to read our mission statement and vision statement. So our mission statement is that we educate for excellence, empowering all students to achieve their educational goals, to direct their lives, and to contribute to society. And our vision statement: the Westlake City School District will provide a dynamic, student-centered learning environment. Our district will be characterized by high achievement, actively engaged learners, mutual respect, shared knowledge, pursuit of new skills and capabilities, collaborative learning, willingness to take action, a team commitment to data-driven continuous improvement through our strategic planning process, and tangible results. And I welcome all our visitors here today. It's good to see you. And is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Kraft.
Yes.
You're not
Yes.
Fanukin.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Lizinski.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is a hearing of the public. And if there's anybody that wishes to speak. Nope, okay. Then we move on to Mr. Hopkins, your treasurer's recommendations.
Thank you, Madam President. Typically, we would have our then and nows at the end of, or at a regular board meeting. Because we're in June and we're getting through our check runs and trying to get our bills paid and off the books, I am asking the board to consider these 4 then and nows in front of you tonight. Again, just a reminder is sometimes we'll have situations where, and I'll use on substitute services on here, we have an estimated amount for the year. It's just an estimate. We don't often know what it's going to come in at. This year, we were a little under on our estimates, so we did utilize those services. And by issuing a then and now, we're just saying that the money was available then and still is available now, and it allows us to pay our bill accordingly. But you'll just see those listed there, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. It's the only item I have, so
Okay,
no combining tonight for me.
okay. Is there a motion to approve treasurer's recommendation 2A?
So moved. Second.
Any questions or discussion?
No. So it's a requirement that the schools pay for books and materials for CCP?
So yeah, so your College Credit Plus program, the district's responsible for paying tuition as well as books and materials. So for some of the schools we have contracts with, an example would be Tri-C. Mr. Wilson gets emails from Tri-C. These are the students who are taking classes. We've negotiated rates with them for both the tuition as well as the books. Other schools, students can choose, and the state sets floors and ceilings on what they can charge for tuition, but then we're still responsible for the cost of books and materials.
There's been some discussion at the State House about doing a cost share on it, but it seems to be going anywhere.
Yeah, it hasn't, at this time, it's not.
Not material. Schools are loaded.
You know, it's tough because, you know, we're fortunate with the agreement with Tri-C. It provides an opportunity for our students. It also is a relatively low cost for the district. You know, I believe our books are capped at $50 for a book. Other places, you know, as all of you may know from either your own classes or your child's classes, you know, we could pay $400 or $500 for a book if that's required for the class, and we have to provide it for the students.
Thank you. I have one question about this year. Did we had substitutes in
We had building subs.
building subs? Thank you. how did that work out as far as the substitutes being available and then the cost?
You know, I think it's worked out well, but Mr. Maver's been tracking it and I can ask him to get you a review of that to show how, it was never intended as a cost savings. But what it has provided is greater coverage in the building to allow so that we weren't using our specialist teachers or title teachers, so they could provide the services that they're hired for our students and not reducing those services to the students during the school day. But it was never intended as a
Right.
cost saving measure.
So we had them in all the buildings?
No, we had them just at the elementary.
Just at the elementary?
Yeah, and if
Well-
there was no need at the elementary, they would then be moved.
So that's one of the
But-
things that we did, and we actually just met with the ESC, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, a couple weeks ago, and we asked for our final data. We went through some of it with them. And what's interesting is with the use of the building subs and the move to the ESC for this service, this past year, we actually had more of a need, which means we had more teachers out. Now, it could have been through absences, but it also could have been through science or reading or other type of things. But the number of our vacancies due to somebody not being in was higher, and our placement percentage was also higher. So
By
Um,
over 6%,
what's that?
by over 6%.
Yeah, it was by over 6%. So we improved by over 6% in our fill rate. So our fill rate was better. And we still have it, and like Todd was talking about, our goal was when we're looking at our ELL teachers, our gifted teachers, our title teachers, those support staff that don't have an assigned classroom to supervise. We want to limit as much as possible for them to be pulled out, because then you start to impact the program. If you're telling parents we're providing you gifted services, and then we keep pulling the gifted teacher, then are they really getting gifted services? If it's, ELL or title, just like that. So those are the type of things that we have been able to minimize. But it's still in this market, like even as they were explaining to us, the number of substitutes who signed up to be substitutes but never took an assignment is pretty high. So, and not just here, but in their whole, like they'll have people who apply, they'll go through everything, and then they'll never take a sub placement, and who knows why, but it's still a struggle. But I think that's been every industry, finding employees, from restaurants to substitute teachers to most things. But to be 6%, have a 6% higher fill rate with more vacancies created was something we're relatively pleased about.
So overall. you're
Overall.
pleased with the way it
Yeah, overall, yeah, and to answer, so we would have the building subs, they're based at the elementary school. And then as needed, we can utilize them on the Dover campus. We really don't send them to the high school, because the high school does a really good job of period coverage. So it's not as necessary.
Right. So I assume we're doing the same thing again.
Do the
next
same,
year.
yeah, we're gonna do the same thing again. We talked about the possibility of maybe, getting one more and just keeping them at the Dover campus, but we haven't finalized that.
How many do we have at West?
4? Yeah, we have 4
4 every day.
every day. Well,
Well,
4 days a week.
Yeah.
4 days a week, so there's at least 3 there every single day. And they can't have 5 because of the Affordable Care Act. So if they work 5 days in our district, it would be benefits eligible, which the ESC does not want, nor do we.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Kraft,
Yes.
Fanukin,
Yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
Lizinski,
Yes.
Here not,
Yes,
motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Goggin, we're.
All right, yeah, I only have 4, well, I have 4. I know he had 4 items in his one. So we have a resolution to approve some staff members. 2 of them are here. We have Julia Dubrava's here and Megan Jeffers is here, both intervention specialists at Westlake Elementary School. Another intervention specialist at Westlake Elementary School is Mark Bender, who's been with the district for about a decade, but in a role paraprofessional, and he would be moving into a role there. And then Catherine Vecchio, an ELL teacher replacing Peyton Frankovich. And Catherine, I believe, is at Vermillion, isn't she? Yeah, she's over at Vermillion. Now Mark and Catherine are on vacation, so they can't be here this evening. But we do have Julia and Megan here, who you had a chance to meet. Not going to embarrass them and bring them to the podium unless you guys really want us to. You
Well,
want
we
to?
normally have them come up and.
Well, then, here's,
Why?
why don't we start with Julia? Julia, I'm sure this is a lot of fun. Come on up to the podium and introduce yourself to our YouTube community. We have, I think it's about 1.3 million viewers. Don't be nervous. It's, you usually go viral, so. Yeah, so if you just introduce yourself and just
Sure.
where you're coming to us from and you know why you're considering Westlake.
Sure. My name is Julia DeBrava. I am an intervention specialist. I'm entering my 15th year of teaching, but I spent the past 11 years at North Ridgeville. And I spent some time in some other districts, one other district before that. I did most of my career in an MH unit, so I'm really excited to get back into that world again. Took a little break for a few years after COVID. And I'm really excited to, Westlake is a lot like Fairview in terms of the community, and that's the community I grew up in. So it feels very home-like to be here. Yeah, that's about it.
Any questions for Julia?
Any questions?
See, that wasn't so bad.
No,
Now,
not bad.
Megan had the luxury going second.
Yeah.
So she was able to sit for a moment. So Megan, come on up and.
Okay. Hi, I'm Megan Jeffers. I'm also entering my 15th year of teaching. I taught for the past 12 years in breakthrough charter schools. I've been a middle school elementary teacher, so I'm actually middle school intervention specialist. I'm very excited to move to the elementary. I've always loved working with younger kids, so I'm very excited for this new change and kind of a challenge as well too, but very excited. And Westlake, similar to what Julia said, is just it's community, it's a home. I'm ready to be closer to my own community here, and the education and excellence at Westlake is wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Letter B is hiring employment for Project Link and Camp Link personnel. We've talked about it before. This has been the response to the summer program this year has been unprecedented. It's been a huge response. Space has filled it very, very quickly, and we need staff. It's a great program, and we're looking forward to that running. Letter C is the student parent handbook for our ELL programs. I believe this was sent out a while ago to you guys to be able to look at. And the last one is a big one for us, and something that Amanda is here, Jane is here, Paul, and I think our entire literacy team really gave it. When you look at the amount of money you spend on resources like this, you want to put a lot into it. And these teams that reviewed these, I really was proud of how they went about it, because our staff is really passionate about what they do, and they don't take a process like this lightly. It's not like they sit back and say, whatever, just give me whatever it is, because I'm gonna do whatever I want anyway. They use them. And there were some really heated debates about about what program is going to be selected, because they were trying to get something that would actually go through 5th grade. Yeah, so go through K-5, and they landed on the curriculum there. They had another parent committee. I think Liz was there also as a board member, and it was had a lot of people review it. Then they put a lot of work into this. Anything you want to say about it, Amanda?
Very comprehensive program. As you know, the state came out and said that they gave us a list of programs we had to select from. Has to be chosen and implemented next year. There were probably 12 programs on the list. We vetted every single one. This has been an 18-month process for this committee. When we got to our top 2 choices, that took us over 2 months to decide between those top 2. We dug into this, and I'm very confident as my role here and as knowing my own son's gonna be getting this instruction, that we have found a phenomenal comprehensive program. Sound knowledge base, builds on itself from kindergarten all the way up and hits every aspect of literacy, to ensure great readers. I'm thrilled with it, very, very excited.
Very helpful, thank you.
I have to say, I was very impressed with the thoughtfulness of not just choosing the program, but also then how it's being rolled out. And for those of you who might remember, when your kids were in elementary school, Foundations was the big phonics program that Westlake used. And one of the big things is, you know, when do we switch over to the new program that comes with what they've got? So they're going to start with the kindergartners next year, where they will not have Foundations. They'll have the skills strand of Amplify, CKLA, but then it will continue them with the first graders the following year. So they'll continue the rollout, but this way it's not like your second and third graders who've had a couple of years of Foundations, all of a sudden they have to dump that and go to something else. So it's a nice progression in that changeover. Now, everybody will get the new Amplify CKLA for the knowledge strand for the overall ELA program, but it's just that Foundations piece will phase out. That's the best way to put that. So I thought the thoughtfulness of that was pretty good.
The state, I assume, is allowing for a phased-in approach.
It has to be implemented within the 24-25 school year. So they don't truly, as long as it's implemented next year, it doesn't matter at what point. Now, we're implementing the knowledge strand for everybody in August. Foundations is also on the approved list.
Oh, okay.
So even though we're phasing it out, it is still approved and we don't plan on losing it. It's still, it's a phenomenal program. It is still always going to be an intervention program for us, but it's gonna eventually disappear in the full tier 1. But it is also approved.
That's
And
good.
our 6th grade is piloting this program next year, and 7th and 8th want to pilot it next semester, second semester next year. So it's possibly becoming a K-8 program.
That'd be great.
So it was, but when you're spending that kind of money, I think people would expect that amount of like
Yeah.
research to be done into it.
And
Time it in.
cursive is in 3rd grade, I know this is
Yeah.
discussed about that, cursive is embedded in the 3rd grade program. So which was a huge selling point for us, there's full cursive instruction.
So is it all year or just one quarter or one?
Yeah, I don't know that, it's, it's embedded throughout the
Entire year.
It's, yeah, right, but it's not a full unit in each unit of
Okay.
knowledge, that makes sense. It's embedded into the instruction throughout.
Okay,
I think grandparents all over Westlake just cheered. Now my
Yes.
grandkids can read the cards I send them.
except that we can no longer write it when we're trying to write something that we don't want them to know. Oh, they'll never be able to delete this.
No longer
Oh, well, that's
shows.
good, because that's, I get questioned a lot about the cursive, and I said, oh, Westlake, we do, we teach it, we have it, but some places it's just one semester and no
It's
fun.
throughout the entirety of it, and the students actually get a cursive workbook, as part of 3rd grade.
And
Good,
there's a lot of neat components to it where, especially I think it starts in 3rd or 4th grade where there's vocabulary, there's an app that has some vocabulary words in it. The books cover everything from Don Quixote to science to fiction, historical fiction, like there's just a nice plethora. And the way it spiraled really worked, it was really nice from kindergarten all the way on up, and just it really nicely overlapped, so.
There's a lot, it's meant to incorporate a lot of the science and social studies standards, so you don't have to have literacy and then science and then social studies. You're doing literacy as you're reading science and social studies, so it embeds a lot of all of that.
So
I'm shocked at the $29,000 for shipping.
I can't wait to see how the boxes.
World language boxes that showed up.
we get your free shipping with what we pay for the book.
Well, at least
you
the
know?
state did kick in some money. So
Yeah,
that's
they
nice.
So what's on the for next year, because we did math last
So
year.
we're continuing ELA because this will be quite a rollout, and then we
Okay.
also are gonna continue looking at grade 6 and above. The second part of the state mandate is that we have to have a K-12 intervention program. And so that's now going to, so reading is not going anywhere. We're gonna
Okay.
continue that, and we have postponed any other adoption.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Okay,
For the recommendations, I would think it'd be appropriate to have 3A on its own as we're
Yes.
approving our licensed staff members. But B through D, I think would be very appropriate to
okay,
combine together.
I agree. Okay, is there a motion to approve superintendent's recommendation 3A, the employment of our licensed staff members?
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion?
Welcome.
Yes. And thank you for being here tonight. Roll call, please.
Here not,
Yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
Fanukin,
Yes.
Kraft,
Yes.
Lizinski,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, is there a motion to approve superintendent's recommendations 3B, 3C, and 3D?
So moved.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion?
Thank you, Sussman, and the entire ELA team, because I know that was a considerable amount of time that you've spent over the last 2 years working on this.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Kraft,
Yes.
Fanukin,
Yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
Lizinski,
Yes,
here not,
Yes.
motion carries.
okay, next up is board items. I don't have anything, that's anybody else. Okay,
Real quick, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
No.
Mr. Opportunity.
No, it's fine, it's under board report.
Oh, okay.
That's all. That's all.
And that brings us up to board committee reports. So we have the legislative liaison.
I don't have anything for legislation, do you?
I know that they're starting to release who's getting money, and I think we put in for a couple things.
We did. We put in, actually, talking about the capital,
I think so,
Right.
yeah.
we put in for, so our number one, we said our order of priority. Our number one was vestibule for DIS for safety concerns to add that extra layer there. Our number two, I believe, was the PAC renovation, and then maybe it was just three, and then the third one we put in for the field house renovation. So, you know,
I gotta catch up to Paramount.
I'll take any of those. I'll take any of those. And by the way, if you haven't noticed, the pier knot roof is being installed right now. It's being, we had a crane over at the high school today, and they are in process of.
Are we getting a plaque made?
Pretty fast.
Is it gonna be by the hour?
Actually, they're gonna have, they're gonna do like different colored shingles to spell out pier knot on the top. And
Very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very tastefully done, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that'll be cursive?
Yeah.
There'll be some curse.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Normally our meetings aren't this much fun. I have a question about field house. What exactly are we doing with that?
Well, we would like to, right now it's gym space and we do use it. We have sports teams using that. We do have, we have the need for overflow at times because we do have times of the year where you could take our spring sports. Where you have 3 levels of a baseball team, 2 levels of a softball team, you have lacrosse, you have all these folks trying to compete for gym space. So we do use it as a gym. And I know that's currently the primary focus. When we looked at the proposal, we did talk about some gym space, but more locker room as well. But that would only be if we receive that funding,
Okay,
which is why it was number 3. We think that the vestibule and the PAC are a higher priority.
Last time they were still debating who was getting what, or who was deciding.
Yeah, who is deciding? So they've decided who's deciding?
I guess.
Oh, good.
So,
That's great.
so when should we know if we get it?
I don't know, hopefully in the next day or two.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's
That
soon?
quickly?
Mhm.
Wow. Let me check my email. So let me check my spam.
Everything's.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Lamb?
Nothing legislatively, no.
Okay, And student achievement, while we're finished with the year and our kids
Graduation
have
was lovely.
graduated. It was very nice. A little late in the day, but
Was.
we did it. Policy. We have nothing going there.
Actually, I'm sure we'll get an update.
Finance,
Finance, we continue to have conversations with our treasurer regarding athletics sponsorship. And it's a work in progress and we'll have more to report at some point. Just bringing up Fieldhouse, that comes up in finance often. You may know from our previous conversations that we've had good, healthy debates for years now. And we'll continue that.
And Mr. Hopkins went through some of his estimates for year end on the 5-year forecast and kind of updated it. I'll let him give you maybe a brief snapshot of our meeting.
Well, and some of that, because that meeting was prior to our May 20th, so I did present the 5-year forecast to
Yeah.
at the board meeting on May 20th and did go over it. You know, right now,
Things
you
changed
know,
much.
it looks not from our conversation, but right now it looks like we're going to be right around that break even for this year again. Maybe a little bit maybe, you know, may hold on to a little bit of money, save a little bit of money or put it into the reserves. Maybe we'll be a little under, but I think we'll be a little bit on the plus side. So we've been fortunate really for the last number of years. We've been able to build our reserves. As we go into next year, you know, we're in a little bit of an odd place right now. Okay. You know, I consistently, talk when I speak with our 5-year forecast and go over things, I consistently talk about House Bill 920 and our millage rates and how as property values go up, your taxes don't necessarily go up with the exception of inside millage, and we're 5.9 mils inside mills. The reason I bring this up is right now the Cuyahoga County is in the middle of their once every 6-year full reappraisal of properties in our community. And so all of the county is doing this, and they're throwing around some really big numbers. And so
In appreciation.
in appreciation, yeah. So they're talking from what we're hearing, and again, this is not necessarily specific to Westlake, this is across the county. But I would think that Westlake would be either at average with the county or higher. But you know, they're throwing out numbers of increases of 20 to 30% on valuation increases. And again, as our property values go up, our millage goes down. Now, two things here is 5.9 mils, remember, okay, is our inside millage. So as property values go up, we'll still see an increase on that, and a 20 or 30% increase on our valuation of $1.8 billion is a lot of money. And so when you look at even those 5.9 mils, you're talking about a potential increase in the district of a couple or several $1 million. The other piece, and that may be even more important, is you would potentially be entering what's called the 20 mil floor. And so in House Bill 920, they put in a floor in place. So as property values go up, your millage drops down, but your millage can only go so low. When it drops below 20 mils, okay, it gets automatically artificially inflated back to 20 mils. So even though it, you know, if we're right now at 25 mils or so,
Are effective.
is our effective, and it does not, for a 20 mil floor, it does not count PEI or bond issues.
Okay.
So you're just looking at your emergency levies, we have none, or your operating levies, which is what we have.
It doesn't count inside then either.
It inside is part of your 20 mil floor.
Oh, okay.
So what would happen is right now we're sitting around that 25 mils effective rate. If property values go up 20%, okay, that's really should drive down your millage by about 5 mils, okay? You know, because 20% of 25 is gonna be that 5 mils.
Yeah.
So that could put you at that 20 mil floor or drive you even lower than the 20 mils, which you would then be automatically inflated back to that 20 mil floor. This is, and the reason that I, even discuss it, this is a huge conversation in the State House. Okay, the last time things like this happened with these large property value increases was right around 1976.
Cool.
And in response to these large increases, they passed House Bill 920. And so they created this whole a piece. And what's happening right now is as of last year, because each county does their appraisal a different year, or they group them into the 6 years. So you always have a rolling, a piece, 88 counties doing their reappraisals. So what happened last year is Medina County, for instance, saw a 30% increase, and other counties throughout the state. And it started these conversations at the State House of, hey, wait a minute, this is not making people happy. And one of the big reasons of that is right now, over half the districts in the state of Ohio are at the 20 mil floor. And so for districts that, we would normally say, hey, you know what, it's okay, as property values go up, the millage goes down, you essentially pay similar to what you're paying. Well, that's not the case if you're at the 20 mil floor. So I've been upfront where I live. In my community, property values went up 20 to 30%. They're at the 20 mil floor. So it dropped down, got automatically reinflated, and everybody is paying more without a vote. It's part of the law. It's the way it works. Okay. But it gets people,
Right.
rubs people the wrong way sometimes.
Have we
And
ever
so-
fallen below the 20 mil floor before?
Not that I'm aware of in our community.
They got to vote when they voted all those people in Columbus.
Well, again, this is a law, and again, we're talking about problems that happen once every 50 years. Okay, or at least historically, that's been the way. And, we don't want to be overreactive and create more problems going forward. Because again, this is a problem that's happened now twice in 50 years. So I'm not sure how I even personally feel on what the right response would be, but it is something that I want to be aware of, and I want you to be aware of, because we could see potentially an increase in revenues that I'm not planning on, dependent on how this reappraisal happens in Cuyahoga County. And we'll know that, before the December bills go out for next year.
Very helpful, thank you.
So they'll have the reappraisals done by December?
They're supposed to,
Okay.
so I don't know if it will.
Those
but they're
bills
supposed to.
come later and later every year.
I know, and it may be again this year later. But that also is a struggle for us, because we depend on that
Right.
money coming in. So the later it comes in, the later we get it. Because what you pay in your taxes, essentially, the county is collecting it on our behalf or other political subdivisions.
Are there any ideas being batted around down there as to, how to mitigate
Columbus,
it
you're saying?
in Columbus? Like
I've
taking
heard-
it from 20 to a 15?
I've heard possible reducing that 20 mil floor. I've heard about limiting what appraisal increases could be. You can say, no, you know what, your property values can increase no more than 15%. You could, they've talked about all kinds of different pieces.
For the county or for the schools?
Well, when we're talking about in this case,
Yeah.
they're saying when
Counties?
they go around through the county and they do these reappraisals, it would be your property. So your appraised value of your property. So if you live in $100,000 home, they'd say, okay, we're only going to cap the increase at 15%.
They
Right
would
now, there's
lay
no
that
cap.
rule on the county.
They would lay that rule across the state of Ohio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, which then would.
But as the counties look at it and say, well, his house is, worth 130 now, then no, we have to cap it at 150. That's one, again, these are just ideas that I've
Sure.
heard. Doesn't mean that the state's gonna react this way.
rules.
And there's no, there's been a lot of discussion, but no action at this time.
They're big numbers, sort of state. Right?
They are big numbers.
Thank you.
Anything else with the finance committee then? That's it?
That's it.
Thank you, guys. curriculum, we have,
With the ELA program.
and then our community outreach.
The parade, the memorial
Oh,
parade
yeah.
was lovely. We had the demon there again. We were all able to stay for the ceremony.
Barb and I stayed for the ceremony afterwards at the pavilion. Nice.
Yeah, I was amazed. First of all, our band is terrific, but when they did the taps and they had the two guys that were actually playing the taps on their trumpets, it was quite moving. And the speaker was excellent, I thought. Yeah, so that was nice. And then we're planning July 4th. So I'm hoping everybody can,
That's Thursday, right?
yes, it is. Yeah, July 4th. Joe.
I'm very thankful to have the president of Westlake Bay Village Rotary here in the room with us. And I know a number of us are partnering with that president for the Westlake Art Festival, Westlake Bay Village Rotary Art Festival coming up. When is it?
Last weekend in
Saturday
July.
in July?
July 27th.
At the
Right.
library.
10 to 5.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Are they gonna do, combine that with the Kiwanis pancake breakfast or
I
not?
think so. That's
No.
happening then, is
They
it?
did that one year, that
And
was
just-
pretty
Yeah,
good.
I thought that was fun.
So you could eat your pancakes
Yep.
and then walk over and
Right.
buy some art.
How about some ice cream?
Ice cream,
There you go.
Love Kona Ice and
yes.
I can't remember the other.
Okay,
Food.
good stuff.
Other food trucks or,
Yeah,
Trucks there in my
Cleveland
yard.
Chicken,
Cool. Yeah.
Kona Ice, was it Mamba? What's the Manna truck? That's a barbecue truck. And then there was another smoothie one. So like kind of like what's that one? Robex type of thing, but it's not Robex. It's another smoothie.
Nice.
and hopefully it won't.
And our featured artist is,
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Who?
Mr. Wilson.
Will
Mr.
Wilson,
Wilson?
not this, not
Oh.
Paul Wilson.
Mr. Will Wilson, yes. So very excited.
And hopefully it won't rain this year. Last year the rain was a little bit,
Right.
made things
Yeah.
sloppy, but it,
Forecast is
Yeah.
warm and sunny.
okay. You go well beyond the 10-day forecast there. Okay. Anything else on community outreach? Okay, and that takes us up to board comments. I think we'd be all talked out by now, but any other comments?
Now that graduation is over and I've actually been to a couple graduation parties. A recurrent theme was that I got feedback was that this year was very loud. The audience,
Mhm.
a little more rambunctious than so. And I think the students did as well as they could to make sure that they pause and read the names and everything, but it just seemed to be,
Mhm.
even to myself, it seemed to be a lot.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I agree that the different groups that would holler out and somebody did have
An air horn.
air
Yeah.
horn, which,
it was the first I've heard.
Which was surprising because they actually increased the security at Cleveland State this year.
Yeah, we went through
Yeah.
security.
yeah, somehow they snuck it through, but that's the first time that's happened in a few years with the air horn, but I agree, John, it was
It's difficult. We try and emphasize.
Well, I know,
Please don't do it because you want everybody to be heard, but
Oh, yeah.
then you just have people. shout
Yeah, no,
out.
not a reflection on
Of course.
on the whole event or anything, but
It's
yeah,
disappointing though.
yes.
since we're talking about the commencement, because my granddaughter just went to Avon Lakes this past Friday, and they do it in their football stadium.
Mhm.
She said it was absolutely great. Have they ever given any consideration to, moving it back to the one year we did it on the
Yeah.
football field, and the parking is great, and
21 days.
of course, the weather, I think, because we had some alternate days for rain, and you were watching the weather forecast real closely, but
Matt Wentz and I were back and forth, the news guy from Channel 3, yes.
okay. I mean, I remember it, I thought it was great, but.
I
It's
think
up to
we'd be
the,
open. We'd be open to it because Wolstein Center, I think, is going to be coming down as well.
They keep saying that.
Yeah, they
Yes.
keep saying that, but Allegedly, that's coming down, so we're gonna have to make a decision at some point.
Okay.
But I do know I think we are scheduled for next year. But it is something that if we want to
10 a.m.
consider after.
10
Oh, we got the 10 a.m. back
Back to 10
It's
o'clock.
a week later.
Well, we also start
Also won't be
school a
Memorial
week
Day.
later.
Oh, the week after Memorial? Oh, okay. Good to know. Put it on
But
your
we start
calendar.
school a week later. And by the way, I'm already hearing comments about why are we starting a week
I
later?
know, I've heard comments
Why
too. Getting out so late next year, it's like, I'm not on the calendar committee.
Well, but the other thing, this is what we hear about is that, sometimes when you get to June, when you're letting out early, you're not getting as good a weather as you would have gotten in August. August is still really nice to be able to vacation. and
It
do those
is,
kind of
that's true,
things.
it is true.
So it is, and I can't remember the reasoning, as we went through
I
it.
know, I remember the reason.
Okay.
Because if we had started on corresponding dates, it would have been really early for the teachers to come back.
Oh, you mean to come back
You know,
in the
just-
summer?
The teachers would have come back on the 15th of August, which they get to vote, so that was the main reason.
Sometimes it's just timing, the way it works out. Just-
I will say it was very nice to see as many staff members at graduation.
It was,
Oh, yeah, it was an overall great,
yeah.
as always.
Okay, any other comments?
As a board member, I can report that Kim from the front office,
Mhm.
she is on jury duty.
Yeah.
She did
Oh, yeah.
She did called up to our quorum. this
Oh,
afternoon.
okay, all right,
We cut her loose though.
okay.
She didn't get
So
on.
will we
the
see her tomorrow?
I don't know.
Mr. Lamb, I'm gonna text her on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't even realize it was her, and she walked past me. She's like, "Do you recognize me?" I'm like, I see a lot of people." She's like, "I did your background check." I'm like, yeah. So she was juror number 32 for us.
All right,
Huh,
Jim Brown.
okay, anyone else? Speak now. Okay, is there a motion to move, to adjourn and move into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee or official?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
To enter into executive session at 6:44 PM. Kraft,
Yes.
Fanukin,
yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
Lazinski,
Yes,
Pure not.
Yes.
Motion carries.
and there will be no action taken
You're in executive session
in executive session
or after.
or after.